Quiet on the set. So, I'm with my very good friend Tomati. Yeah. He invited me to be on his TV show. Thank you, Tomati.
Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
You know, as we were talking about last time we met in Iridium.
Right. Iridium. Iridium, doesn't it?
Iridium. Tomato, potato.
Yeah, exactly. Tomati.
You were singing. That was a big surprise.
Yeah, I try to sing sometimes. I've always sang a little bit kind of under my breath when I'm singing. Just like you were whistling when you're playing, I try to sing when I play sometimes a little bit because it makes you play more musically, I think, in some ways, or it comes from here. Especially
it's not mechanical.
Well, yeah, because guitar lends itself to, I think, can sound too maybe not so vocal. And I like a vocal sound. I sometimes use chorus, or I use a pick. The way I pick is kind of lighter. That's just my taste. Sometimes I don't like it to sound too percussive. And but all of it's cool. That was just my taste. But I also like. I think when you sing a little bit with what you play, you don't have to sing every note or anything, but it kind of helps the guitar breathe a little bit, like a horn or like a singer, which is beautiful. So you do the same thing, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I try.
Just kind of under your breath sometimes. You don't have to do it. But so then I started getting into, I was playing with Richard Boner, and he said I should sing some of the songs kind of like, and I did this on this Eric Johnson record I just did with me and Eric. And it's called Eric Johnson, Mike Stern. It's called Eclectic. And I'm singing on it. I'm singing one of my tunes, Wishing Well, and I'm singing kind of in the back, not really, just vocally, no words. And then I'm singing on Red House. We split verses. I sing one verse of Red House, then he sings the other.
Really?
And then we split the last verse, and it's rocking. And it's actually a really cool record. It really came out good because we have very different styles, and he's more of a blues rocker. And
one thing I always wanted to ask you was about your rig, that you use the same amp, the same equipment for years and years. When was the first time that you realized, wow, this is the sound of my guitar, this is where people are gonna listen to my music, listen to me playing, and they're going to recognize my tone. And I'm just going to use this kind of amp. And did it happen already that one amp, like you plug it in a wrong place, in wrong power, and just like burn the amp, and then you don't have another amp to substitute your main amp? Does that happen?
Yeah, it's happened before, and you just do what you make do with whatever it is. But I like, for getting back to the singing sound, I always wanted that kind of sound, and I heard rockers do that. I use 2 amps, and sometimes a little chorus. I used to, Nils Lofgren, actually, the guitar player with Bruce Springsteen now, and he used to be in a band in Washington, D.C. I knew him in D.C. when I was growing up in D.C. I knew 3 guitar players that were really influential for me before I got into jazz. It was Roy Buchanan, Danny Gatton, and Nils. And Nils used to rock his ass off, and he had a band called Grin, and he used to use this little thing. It wasn't really like a chorus, but it had this Leslie effect. It was called a roto sound, or roto sound. And so he used to use that, so I got into using that. And then I kind of discovered something, kind of a chorus sound, which I use now, but it's more like a harmonizer patch now on this SPX 90 that I use. And it has kind of a fatter sound. It's not quite a chorus sound. It's kind of slightly different. And it's a
little bit out of tune, right?
It's a little bit like a chorus does.
Detuned,
a little bit, but it's kind of just fattens up the sound and makes it a little bit more vocal. That's what I'm always going for. The way I play is like that. Even with 1 amp, I try to keep it kind of vocal, but I pick every note. So I try to pick every note not so the same. And lighter. Some notes are fatter and they're peak notes, and then some are, I hit a little bit harder for peak, for kind of the peak.
That's the great dynamic.
And then some, like the way people talk. We don't always talk with the same syllable accented. You kind of swallow some syllables. And I try to get that happening as much as I can on the guitar. But man, guitar and music is endless, as you know. It's just forever. You hear different people and you go in a whole different direction and you can get inspired. But I always wanted to kind of keep my own, once I found a sound that kind of worked for me, I just kind of stayed there. It wasn't like something I deliberately did. It's just like something I felt comfortable with. And I said, now let me just concentrate on trying to write, or trying to find different lines, or trying to find more musical vocabulary, than changing sound all the time. I change a little bit with pedals, but I try to keep it simple. So it just works for me. I mean, it's whatever anybody, some people use a lot of pedals and it's fucking great.
And I think also, in my opinion, that you were part of a transition when Miles Davis started making a punk jazz turn into fusion, when they call all these guitar players, and you were part of this transition. And tell me something about that. How did you feel when Miles called you and say, hey Mike, you want to play with me? And then you got in the studio and saw, oh, that's Miles Davis, I'm playing with Miles Davis. What about that feeling? How many years?
Early 80s, yeah.
80s.
And he wanted me to rock. He liked Hendrix, but he also liked what I did. He knew that I had a lot of bebop in my playing, because I love bebop. So Miles, of course, was like big idol for me. And then when Bill Evans, actually the saxophone player,
the one that were playing in Iridium with you,
yeah,
right?
we were playing some gigs.
Awesome.
We were playing some. He's an amazing musician, Bill, and we were playing some gigs in Boston in a little tiny place. And Bill said, I'm playing with. He told me he was playing with Miles. I didn't believe him at first. He said, I'm playing with Miles Davis and I'm recording with him. We're getting ready to go on the road. And the guitar player that they had originally was very good, Barry Finnerty. Fantastic guitar player, but it wasn't working out personally with Miles. So Miles came down. He brought about a year later after that, I was playing with Billy Cobham, and I was on the road, and I was in New York, and Bill calls up and he said, I guess what I'm bringing by for the second set, so play your ass off. So I said, oh shit. So I played the best I could, and Miles really liked it, so he asked me to record a tune called Fat Time. It didn't have a name till we finished the tune, and he used to call me Fat Time. That was my nickname with him, and he called me Fat Time because I was heavy in that time, and also he liked my time feel, so he called me Fat Time. And then he called the tune Fat Time because there's a long guitar solo, and he really liked it. And so Miles was a big guitar freak. He loved guitar, but he liked Hendrix, that kind of guitar. Of course, he liked Wes and a lot of other cats too, but that wasn't his favorite stuff. He liked rock. And so, well, I mean, Miles was wide open to everything, which was one of the things I loved about him. And then I get to play with him. It was like an amazing honor and a treat, and a little crazy at times because he was nuts, but so was I. So I was even crazier than him in those days, so it worked out great.
Wow, nice. And then one time we were playing in a hotel room, and you showed me one of your new compositions, and I told you, I dare say something like, wow, it sounds like another tune of you. And then you gave me a lesson that I never forgot. You said, well, that's called style.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. How players they discover the style of compositions. You write a song, and then after that you listen to it and then you write another one kind of going the same way of the other one?
Sometimes. I try to find different things.
It is already inside of you, that type
Probably
of music,
inside.
and it comes out, and then you recognize, say, wow, that's me.
Yeah.
Because I think the hardest thing for guitar players is to find their own style.
Their own style.
Because you start picking licks, like we were like changing licks, you know,
Yeah.
from this
But
guy,
it's
from that
sometimes
guy.
the way you play it, or the way, or sometimes people's voices are defined just by as much as what they can't do as what they can do. Like Jim Hall couldn't play fast, particularly. That wasn't his strength. So he found this beautiful melodic style, and he had very much a beautiful way of writing too. That was Jim Hall. You know, there was something. He wrote a lot on the guitar, and so one thing is writing on your own instrument, and kind of, and I like stuff that's either a little wacky, you know, like I have kind of two different kinds of tunes. It seems like in a very obvious way, something with a line, more of a line, and then some tunes that are just singable, that I actually sing, and it's almost like singer-songwriter without words. You know, I just kind of play some chords and try to kind of make sing the melody and write it down.
Yeah, I was in one of your shows here in Brazil, and then you played all those tunes that were based on jazz standards, but with different melodies.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like Donna Lee. Or
Yeah,
those
I like
kind of,
to do that.
Yeah, I love that style that you do. And then you played a ballad, you know, and you weren't singing at the microphone at that time, but you sing all the time. You go like,
Yeah.
So you played a melody. I think it was that.
Yeah.
And then the guy, a heavy metal guy, said, "Oh man, I love this show until now, because this guy started playing ballad. Now, I love it."
Wow.
Oh wow, man, this ballad just caught me, I'd be like, wow, this is great to hear, because sometimes you're afraid because you play guitar, say, no, I'm not going to play ballad for these guys, and then you play a ballad and they go like, oh, thank you,
Yeah.
That's the I
think it's important. I mean, you know this because you play with singers. And you're married to a very beautiful singer who sings great.
She's right there.
And she's right there. And she sings beautifully, and so you understand the beauty of that. But you always have, even before, because I knew you, I think before you guys met, I think I knew Tomati, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And so you've always had a lyrical side to you. And you're Brazilian. You have to have a lyrical side. You can't. You're not allowed to be Brazilian without a lyrical side. It's illegal. But there you go.
Yeah, that was when I was a kid. I grew up listening to those guys.
So it's such a big part for me of guitar. I mean, I like to rock. But I've always loved ballads. When I was little, I was actually in this church choir when I was little. My mom put me in a church choir, and only because there was a really good choir master. She wasn't particularly religious. She was just a good person, and she didn't go to church too much or anything. She was just nice, very nice person anyway. So, but she was, except when she was growing up. But then she kind of fell out of it. So she never asked us to go to church or anything like that. But there was a great choir master in this one church that she heard about. So I was in this church, and you hear those choral tunes. Man, that shit is deep. Yeah, exactly. And so that was my first kind of experience musically, and then I played a little tiny bit of piano.
Oh, so you did play piano? Because I remember I was playing one of their tunes like.
Exactly.
And you go like, oh, I knew it was you, and I was trying to play it on piano, and I'd ask you, hey, do you play piano? You go like, no.
Well, I did when I was little, but I haven't for years, and I wish I did, because that's really fun to compose on. Do you write on piano at all?
No.
Just on guitar?
Just on guitar.
Yeah. There's something beautiful about guitar because it's so essential. that sometimes if you just get the melody and the bass, that's all you need, really, 2 lines that work together. And then because a lot of times we have to play trio, so you play the melody and you play and the bass has to cover. You got to cover it that way. Sometimes piano you get lost in all these chords, which is beautiful too. But but something
you gotta know how to do it.
Yeah, you gotta know. Let's play a little. What should we play? Just the blues. B flat blues. You go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tomati, wonderful musician, man. What you got going on? Now we're going nuts. It's always a pleasure to play with this guy. He's an amazing, amazing musician. What a great heart.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
My pleasure, bro.
You know, I hope to bring your music to all Brazilian people with this interview or whatever it was. You know, just amazing to get together with you.
It's a ball for me.
And I'll see you around. I'll see you tonight.
Great, man.
You know, I love you. I love your music and love everything you've done for us.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomati.
Right.
Thank you, man. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Cool?
Cool. Awesome, man.
All right, man. That was fun.
Sorry about the
I wish we could have played earlier.
Yeah, me too, man.
Because, man, I wanted a lesson. We get so into it, man. We're into this thing.
is Michelle brought me. Michelle brought me this amazing haircut. You know?
Who did this? Who did it?
My stylist hair,
Yeah.
Rafael Almeida.
Yeah, her stylist. She said, oh, yeah, don't bring it there. We put this amazing haircut.
Beautiful haircut. Look at his haircut. Get it closer.
Thank you. Thank you.